you don't have the conviction yet. And not just you, but me. Like even when I started.
For sure.
I did not have the conviction of like, this is going to work. It purely is a numbers game. And statistically speaking, if we put X amount of door hangers out, it will result in this amount of return in clients. If it was me, we could have doubled the revenue, if not tripled, with the amount of effort that I would give. I think there's an effort level, and based on the effort level, we probably would have done 250. I don't want to brag or boast. The message I'm getting across, the amount of effort that individual was giving was not his absolute best.
Yeah, that's helpful to think about.
All right. So today we have Scott Reeves down in Arkansas. Scott, thanks for jumping on. If you could give us maybe like a kind of 20-second snippet of kind of where you're at in business, and then we can jump into the Q&As and see how I can help.
Yes, sir. That sounds good. I'm Scott Reeves, and I just recently, last week, left active duty. And so the past 3 years, I've been planning this business. So as far as where I'm at, I'm launching my marketing campaign right now. I've got the yard signs going out and the EDDM going out this week. So I'm just now launching, and I'm trying to hit the ground running as hard and as fast as possible.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So sorry, I'm actually moving closer to my router, so hopefully we get better connection here.
No worries,
dude. That's awesome. What branch did you said Army? You're in the
yeah. So I've done the Marine Corps and I've done the Army. Most recently, I just left the active duty Army though.
Nice. Thank you for your service. That's awesome.
Yeah, well, you too, right?
Absolutely. Very cool. So what makes you want to start a lawn business?
So my wife and I have started, let's see, this is our 5th business. I've worked in the trades for a lot of my life. When I wasn't in the military, I was working in the trades. So I've always known that I wanted to work for myself, and I frankly didn't have the hours to get my master electrician's license. And this was the lowest barrier to entry, I guess, but I think it's got the highest upside for like where I'm at.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. Very cool. So what can I help you out with? What hurdles do you have? Like, what do you think is the biggest potential thing that may hold you back from hitting your goals that I hopefully can unlock for you?
Yeah. So I've got a couple of thoughts. So one, I feel like I've spent a lot of time planning this. And I'm at this weird spot where I just got to hit the ground and start going and then adjust from there. So I guess I'm looking for kind of, how would you say, like pressure testing my strategy so far. And then my goal in the first year is $100,000. I feel like that's doable. And then I'd like to scale from there, and year 2 hit the 200,000 mark. So one of the questions that I did have is, what systems would you put in place? I know you've got a couple of branches that you operate. And so with your experience, what systems have really helped streamline that year 1 starting?
So it's a good question. I'd say a lot of the systems, in a weird way, there aren't much systems from 0 to 100,000. I think to wrap that up in a bow, the system is focusing on selling and getting your name out there, and like coming up with some kind of strategy plan to get your name out there as much as humanly, physically possible. And so I would say, first off, one of the biggest things I would ask you is, do you have your truck or vehicle, some kind of logo on it, vinyl wrap, any kind of decals on the vehicle? So
I've got the vinyl wrap ordered. My truck's actually, I got rear-ended the week before I left North Carolina, so it's at the body shop right now. But I do have the vinyls ordered. When it rains, it pours, man.
Yeah, that's rough. I'm sorry to hear that.
But I do have vinyls ordered. Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, so as long as you can get that, hopefully in the next 2 to 4 weeks, once the body shop prepares everything and get those things ordered, printed, put them on the truck, I'd say that's number 1. What about marketing material? What's your game plan on approaching selling and marketing this spring?
Yes, sir. So I've last month I got a website built, and the Facebook page and the Google My Business page. So I'm trying to build that online presence. So I've got all 3 of those going. This week I got my yard signs in, my door hangers, and my EDDM. So I've got the EDDM going out. I've got 2,500 mailers going out Friday. And then the rest of this week is dropping the yard signs at the street corners. And then next week is scheduled to pass out 3,000 door hangers. And then my intent is to follow up with the last 2 weeks of February with a Facebook and Google targeted ads for those areas that I'm trying to really hit.
Yeah. Okay. So has the grass started to grow in Arkansas yet?
Not yet. But we did just get our first 81-degree day yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I feel like that might be a false spring, but I also think that's my sign that it's time to hit it.
Yeah, we're actually experiencing the same thing down here in Texas. It's going to be like high 70s, low 80s the next 3 days. We are actually putting out door hangers right now, currently. Today was our first day doing it. Tomorrow we're hitting the ground heavy on the new location. So we're testing it. We're getting about 500 to 1,000 out this week and just seeing if results are starting to come in. If they're not, and people are like, hey, this is way too early. Yeah, sure, it's nice, but the grass isn't growing yet. The demand's not there. I would just be a little cautious for you before putting out all of those signs, all those door hangers, and all of those EDDM. If you don't time it right, it in a weird way could be a lot for wasting it. So I would just want to make sure that, like, based on the budget, unless you have more to fund, like if you have more to buy, like if you're like, hey, by the end of this month, end of February, once we get all this stuff out, we're going to order another round of 5,000 of these things, and we're going to crank them out. Then I'd say, yeah, push the pedal to the floor. Let's do it. But if that's all, like, so I guess for me, like, how is your funds set aside? Like, do you have enough to continue the growth and purchase 3, 4, or 5,000 more door hangers and signs, or like, are you?
Yeah.
Or is that what you have right now, and that's kind of all you have?
No, I still have money set aside for the next 6 months of marketing. Now, I didn't include in that a whole nother run of the door hangers just yet. I was hoping that the initial run could start generating sales.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. Yeah. I mean, if you have some reserve funds on the side that you can continue to pour in, then I would say, yeah, hit the floor. Like let's or hit the ground, hit the pavement. I would start definitely doing door hangers. We are right now, but we've got a lot of money on the back end to just keep funding it, as like, even if the results aren't that great and we're only getting a few customers, like we got to hit our goals. So regardless of how much it takes to pour money on it, we're going to get to it. So yeah, I think that's good. That's really good. There's a really good book out there that's called The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. I think that would be have you listened or heard?
Yeah, I'm familiar. I haven't read the book, but I've definitely heard of it.
Yeah, I would lean into that. A lot of people, when they're just getting started, it's a weird thing, Scott, because you don't know if it works. You know what I mean? Like, you've seen people on YouTube, you've seen people start a business and grow it, but like, you don't have the conviction yet. And not just you, but me. Like, even when I started,
for sure,
I did not have the conviction of like, this is going to work. But it purely is a numbers game. And statistically speaking, if we put X amount of door hangers out, it will result in this amount of return in clients. It's just literally statistical numbers of like that. So yeah, I think that's a good approach, but don't be afraid to expand that. You know, like for our second location, depending on how quickly you want to grow. I know you said you wanted to grow about 100K each year. I think that's fairly easily doable with probably 5,000 to 7,000 door hangers. Maybe if you wanted to get a little wild and kind of double down on that and maybe hire someone part-time to help like put the door hangers out, you might be able to get to that 150, 200 in the first year, you know, based on how comfortable you are and how much you lean into it. You know what I mean? So yeah, don't be afraid to don't be afraid, like those numbers for me personally, like to get you the results, I think are a little on the lower end. If you can maybe double or triple that output, I think you'll for sure end up somewhere in that 100, 200K mark.
Got you. What type of customer acquisition are you getting off your door hangers? I know I felt like I was being very like conservative and estimating like a 1% customer rate on that. What type of return do you usually have on your door hangers? And I understand each area is different.
Yeah, that's about average. You'll see anywhere from like a 0.5% to, and it could be maybe 0.25% if it's really bad, but I'd say conservatively speaking, probably 0.5%. up to like 2.5%.
Okay.
Maybe even 3 if
Gotcha.
it's a crazy great offer and like it's like the exact timing that everybody needs it, you know.
For sure. Then have you personally in your market, have you noticed any difference between the door hangers and the EDDM?
So yes, I would be very cautious doing EDDM. What we learned in our market is that it's not a good idea to hit brand new territories with EDDM for us. That's just
Gotcha.
what it is. Like what we found better results is once you've established a brand in that local area
Hmm.
for a couple of years, they've seen your door hangers a few times, they've seen your trucks, they've seen your crews, they've seen your yard signs before. Typically the 5th, 6th, or 7th touch point of a customer, and then sending out the EDDM. And then they get that postcard in the mail and they're like, oh, snap, I've seen this company before. Let me give them a call.
Yeah.
That is typically where we see better results versus this is just probably a card in the mail. Some random company sent it to me, right? There's a weird thing, I think, in the brain that they just, once they see it's more familiar, that it just nets better return. I think last year we spent, I think, $12,000 or $15,000 and it pretty much flopped. So
Really?
at our second location. So I would be very, very cautious. I think you doing a test, I call the 2,500 that you're doing a test batch, maybe
For
even
sure.
like 4 or 5,000. So that's why I said, don't be afraid to kind of increase those a little bit, but do it on the door hangers first. You'll typically get better return that way than doing the EDDM, especially in a new market or like you are just getting started. So they don't know your brand yet, you know?
Right. And then what would you, so for the brand outside of just time in that area, right? Is there anything that you would just lean into real heavy to really just establish that brand?
Google reviews. I would be taking a picture in front of my truck once it's decaled and saying, hey, it's Scott. Just started a lawn business. I'm a veteran. Got out of the Army, served in the Marines and the Army. Just trying to get some more work if you know anybody. And then, and like again, 10x mindset. Like, don't just do it on one Facebook. Get in all like 10 plus, 10x it, 10 neighborhood pages, finding them on Facebook. I talked to a guy the other day. He like built his business on Nextdoor. It was crazy.
Mm.
And he was saying like the free version is just as good as the paid version on there. So like get in there, take a picture, start posting on Nextdoor when people need lawn care.
Mhm.
I haven't used a ton of Nextdoor. We do have an account in there. But yeah, dude, he built his whole he built like 150, 200K, I think, like just using Nextdoor. And I was like, do that.
Really?
Yeah, hit that and door hangers, I think were the two. And he's like, so what do I do for marketing? And I'm like, well, you just told me you built a $200,000 business using those two things. I'm doing it.
You're doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
working.
Double down on that for sure. Well,
Yeah.
that's good to hear about the EDDM. It's just so much more. It costs so much more to get out. You get so many more door hangers for the price of the EDDM. So that's good to hear. Just put the
Yeah.
money in that, most likely.
Yeah, but I think like, there's a balance, breaking into a new market. Somebody could argue, it's a touch point, but if you go into it thinking of it that way and not like, oh, this is my silver bullet. We went into it last year of like the EDDM is our silver bullet and it flopped and it did not do well. And
Got you.
we ended up doing only 125K for that year, but so we really only grew it about 110K, which again, for a $12,000 marketing budget is not that good. It's not that good.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm spending $12,000 on marketing, I need to be getting like maybe 200 to 250,000 on that.
Yeah.
For like okay, we played the cards right on the customer acquisition cost.
Right.
But
Yeah. But my initial thought on it is like I feel like it's a race to that 45. Like let me get 45 reoccurring. And that's just I feel like it gets me where I'm treading water, right? And so I feel like I'm at a race to get to the 45 and then start doubling up and more door hangers and start getting that route density going there. So that's kind of where my initial push is trying to aim.
yeah, and that's important because at 45 you start to build almost a full-time gig / job, right? To where you're busy 5 days a week and you have that steady income and reliability. Right now you're kind of scrambling, but yeah, I wouldn't like sleep, jokingly. I wouldn't sleep until you got 40.
Right.
Like the next 4 weeks, like we need to be getting like try to get a customer a day. Just one. Like, even if it means that you're out there till 7 o'clock at night, knocking on doors, putting door hangers out, like, just, can we get one customer a day? One. And I'm telling you, if you were, even with it not being in the right season, okay, if it's in the right season, if you put out 100 door hangers, you will get one customer. And I mean, like, the grass is growing, there's a need, it's the beginning of spring. You put out 100 door hangers, 3 or 4 of them are going to call you, one's going to book. Like, it just is what it is, right?
Yeah.
If you do it in the wrong timing, you might have to put out 300 door hangers to get one customer. But still, right now, we could do 300 door hangers a day to get our one customer. And if that takes us 3 to 4 hours a day putting out door hangers, man, our feet are going to get the exercise this week. You know what I mean? Until it kind of warms up.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
Just having that mindset of, like, you know, and maybe it's not always a daily, maybe it's like, hey, I got to get 5 customers this week, you know, something like that.
No, that's great advice. Just to keep a goal in mind.
Yeah. And like, what I'll tell you too, Scott, like what we're doing. So we are at 65 customers right now at our new location, the new location.
Okay.
Our goal is to get to 200 recurring customers. Okay. We're ordering 20,000 door hangers right now. And the way that we're going to break this down is because 90% of those customers will come in the spring rush if done properly. So literally last week in Feb, it will start. And so last week in Feb, all of March, and probably most of April, that gives us 9 weeks. 9 weeks to get to 200 customers. I don't have my phone with me, but normally I would figure out, okay, what is 200 divided by 9? Do you know what that is? Can you do the math for me?
I mean, just under 10, right? It's
22. Yeah. So that's 22 customers
22.
a week. So based on that, we can work backwards from that, right? Okay, if we need to get 22 customers per week, and we're working 5 days a week, and maybe we turn it up a notch and say, you know what, spring rush, we're working 6 days a week, working Monday through Saturday. We don't work Sundays. But, you know, okay, so if it's 22 customers, 22 divided by 6, that means I need 3.5. It's like 3.6. Just call it 3.5 customers a day. 3.5 customers a day. Okay, from there, how many door hangers do we need to get out? Well, if we're, let's just say, conservatively getting 1% return or conversion, then we need to be at least putting out 350 door hangers a day for the next 9 weeks at a minimum, and I'd probably do more. 350 door hangers every day should get us to those results. You know, not to mention, hopefully you have your truck wrapped at that point. Maybe that'll convert a couple of customers. Your website's getting built. Hopefully that'll convert. You start to get some Google reviews once you get a little bit of traction, you know. So like, they're not all going to come from those door hangers, but if we figure out the actionable steps and the process and the daily goals to get there, like we'll crush our goals, you know. And that doesn't even mention, like, there's still people that sign up midsummer. So even if we fall a little bit short, it's like, we only got to 185. We'll probably still hit 200 because there's still people booking in June, July, and August. Yeah, I don't know if that helped.
No. I mean, that's a good way to reframe I guess, the issue or the problem that you're trying to solve. I like that. That's helpful. Thank you. You said that location was at 65 reoccurring, and was that first year where you ended up?
So the very first year that I started it, I basically we were running our other location, so I basically started this location, like, doing it on a half day, and then I converted it to one full day, and I think I had like 12 customers is what I started off with. I think we did 12,000, 15,000 in the first year. But the second year, when we plugged a general manager into that location, he grew it from 15,000 to like 125.
Really?
Yeah. And so we went from like 12 customers to like 65 customers. But I will tell you, Scott, okay, we could have done way more. Way more. Not to, you know, obviously I don't want to talk negative about people. However, if it was me, I believe we could have doubled the revenue, if not tripled, with the amount of effort that I would give. Okay. I think there's an effort level, and based on the effort level, we definitely would have like surpassed. We probably would have done 250, 300 maybe, you know? So, and not
Really?
to like, Like, I don't want to brag or boast. What I want, the message I'm getting across is the amount of effort that individual was giving was not his absolute best. It wasn't.
Yeah.
And if it was, and I know you will give your absolute best because it's your business and you care about it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
If you go into it diligently with that mindset and effort of like, hey, I'm going to do what it takes to make this work, you will absolutely do 100K this year, if not way more. And so if you're just diligent about that, increase some of those door hanger numbers, I think you're going to crush it.
All right. Sorry, I'm trying to take notes as we go.
Yeah. And all this will be recorded too for YouTube, so you'll be able to go back and watch it.
Okay, perfect. I appreciate that. Did I ask you this one already? What you would do differently? I know you said the effort was the big difference that you saw in the year one with the 12 to 15 to the year two to the 125. And so I know you mentioned the effort. Is the door hangers the only? Is that where you would have put that effort to see that growth? Or
like when you say what would I have done differently, are you referring to like in my first year, or are you talking about just in my whole tenure of the 5 years in business?
I'd say I'm speaking about that second location specifically, just because you've most recently done that and you attacked that with the previous year's experience. So I know you mentioned the effort that you would put in and then the door hangers. Do you think that, I guess besides those two things, was there any other, what's a great way to say that? Do you know what I'm asking?
I think so. So it was okay. a lack of leadership on my part. I would have held the manager accountable, more accountable, and more clear, directional, and fireable offenses, which I failed to do. And had I would have done that, then I would have had the ability to make a change, either meet the expectations or make the change sooner instead of waiting 10 months to make it.
Yeah.
It lingered too long.
So I guess say it was you there that was the GM. Like, what is it that, like, what action items? I guess what is it that you would have been doing differently that would have led to that $250,000?
I would have hit every single neighbor, or I would have hit every single door. If you dropped a pin and circled 7 miles, I would have hit every single door with a door hanger.
Got you. That's what I was looking for. Sorry, I was probably not doing a good job getting on target there.
Yep, I would have done that. So we just actually, this is kind of crazy. So we got a new wrap on our truck. This is a sneak peek, never before seen. I don't know if you can see it out there.
Yeah, I can.
It's kind of hard to see.
Oh, yeah.
We just wrapped our trucks professionally. So we used to just have them white and then put vinyl stickers on them. We probably would have done a full wrap sooner. I think that really, it just sets you apart. I've just always been really conservative. I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, yeah, but I don't want to spend triple the amount for each truck. In the beginning, every dollar is really important. So it's like, you really got to kind of squeeze it together and make it last. But when the time comes that you have enough money in the funds, and I could have done it last year. But me being too conservative is kind of getting in the way sometimes. But this year we pulled the trigger. I probably would have got a full wrap. I think that's going to be more professional. I believe that that's going to portray better clients, more reliability, better value to the customer. I would have probably done that. I think those are the two most valuable. And I preach it a lot on here. I tell everybody. So I sometimes sound like a broken record saying that, but sometimes
it's all right.
It's not like we're reinventing anything or creating something new. Right? Like, people need to be reminded more than they need to be like told what to do. But I would say those two things. Yeah. And then once I hit every door with the door hanger, I mean, in a weird way, I might hit them again. I think doing that would have gotten us at least double what we did, at least, because
perfect.
I don't even think a quarter of that was done, on our end.
Really?
Yeah. Now, they did get an EDDM flyer, but it flopped. That's the problem. Is they did get an EDDM flyer, but it didn't produce the results that it needed. And I really think there's something about a door hanger versus an EDDM flyer. When you physically hook it on their doorknob and they have to come up and physically take it off like it's in their hand, and you get 3 seconds to sell them. So put the best offer you physically can on there. If you need to give a free mow, if you need to give a free treatment, if you need to give a free bush trimming, do something and to grab their attention. No contracts, cancel at any time. I think that would have gotten better results.
That's helpful. Thank you. We've got QR codes, different QR codes for each of the door hangers and the EDDM, just to track the analytics and see which one's most successful, right? But which one's getting the most hits. So I'm looking forward to getting this batch out this week and start getting some actual data to use moving forward.
Yeah, that's really important. Are you putting phone numbers on the door hangers with the QR code?
Yeah. So it's got the phone number and the website, and it's got a QR code that's going to a landing page on the website. And each one's going to a different landing page. That way we can track the traffic to that website.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that'll work. We're doing a split test this year. The only flaw I see with that is like if they call, do you have different phone numbers to track, or is it all just the same phone number?
I thought about the different phone numbers, but I just did the one phone number on there.
Which is fine. I mean, we do the same thing. What we're doing this year is Larissa, she just built 2 flyers, one with a really good offer and then one differently with pictures and stuff. And so we're just going to test it so what we're going to do is we're going to cut our territory right down the middle. And then the guys that are handing out flyers are going to, on the right side of the main road, they're going to do the one flyer. And then on the left side, they're going to do the other flyer. And then we could simply run a report 3 months from now and be like, okay, how many customers came on this side from a flyer? And then how many came on this side from a flyer? Because we could pull a report on that. And then we'll be able to see, based on how many flyers went out, how many more converted. And then what we'll probably do is figure out, okay, if one worked better than the other, we'll just double or triple down next year and be like, okay, let's just go 30,000 flyers with this one that did well, and then probably roll with that. But that's how we're going to do it. I know people get really technical with like the QR codes and the phone numbers and stuff like that, but that's how we're going to kind of track it.
Yeah, that's helpful to think about. I'm thinking of this initial one, like you said, just this is a test run for me to see which media, I guess, is working the best, and then to start doubling down on whichever one's giving us the best results.
Yeah, and that's good too. Like I think with the test batch of like even with the EDDM, like who knows, man? I don't know. Markets are different. Even if that thing starts, like if you start getting a lot of calls from that, whatever one's working, I would just double down. But yeah, there's just something about simple door hangers. Like it's not fancy.
And the way you said it makes sense. Like you have to physically grab it. You're forced to at least look at it as opposed to just flipping through the mail and tossing it straight in the trash. I mean, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and people are so inclined to doing that. It's like when you grab the mail, you already know half of it's garbage. Half of it's going in the trash, right? And so it's by itself individually on the door, and it's not with all the other junk.
Yeah, no, that's huge. And as soon as you said it, I can see it. The past all my years as an adult, I've gone through the mail. It's the same thing. I just toss it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's why I think ours didn't work on the second location, because nobody knows who we are out there. So we're just another company trying to sell somebody something. But if they knew us and saw the truck and heard the neighbors talking about us the other day and then saw the EDDM, they'd be like, oh, that's Military Lawn Cuts. Yeah, let's give them a try this year. We've heard of them. We've seen them around. I don't know. I think it just works a little bit better when it's the 6th, 7th, or 8th touch point. That's my theory on it.
Yeah. And so what would be that timeline to hit that 6th, 7th? Like, are you talking, is that over a couple of years, a year, a couple of weeks?
Yeah, I think the most success we saw in our main location was on year 3 using it.
Really?
Yeah. After 24 solid months of people seeing the trucks and people seeing our name.
Yeah. Well, I think that's where I probably had a little like blinders or like pie in the sky type of thinking, where I was like, okay, I'm going to hit the yard signs and they're going to see that in these designated neighborhoods. And then they're going to see the door hangers and they're going to get an EDDM. They're going to follow up with Facebook. And I was thinking that I make all of those touch points just real quick And I think I was missing just or underestimating like the long-term brand awareness.
Yeah. And that's where I think we fell short. And that's why we're actually branding our wraps of trucks this year to fully establish ourselves from the typical white truck logo basic thing, And is it going to net all the customers in the first 6 months? No, not at all. But it's a long-term play. And it's tough when you're just getting started because it's like, you guys, you need the fast results now. And you can't wait 24 months to get that. And so I think door hangers help get that immediate result. And then the truck wrap is the long-term play.
Yeah.
Alongside with the website too.
Yeah. We just got the website finished last month. So far, I feel like it's a great looking website, and we paid to have it done because I've made the websites before in the past, and I can make it and they work, but it's just, I'm not a professional website builder. And so I learned years ago, I can spend my 10,000 hours building a website, or I can pay somebody who's already done it.
Yeah.
And so, I've been having a lot of fun just watching. There hasn't been any like marketing yet. So just watching just organically, like there's views coming, you know what I mean? It's exciting to see.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm excited for it. I've been doing the YouTube University for several years now. I feel like I've seen all the videos and just at that and just ready to launch now.
Yeah, Scott, I think you're right there. You already have all the knowledge. You've watched all the YouTube, and now it's just putting it into action. And I think like you can always work the numbers backwards, like we just did. But for us, like a typical client is about $2,000 a year. I mean, you could do the math. Okay, typical cut's $40, right? $30-$40. How many, weekly versus bi-weekly? Okay, how long is the mowing season? So you could come up with a price of like how much money one customer is for the year based on like how many visits for the mowing, and then like, at least once a year, somebody's probably going to need a bush trimming or something like that, right? Or like de-weeding. So you can kind of come up with a price. Maybe it's like $1,200, $1,500 per customer, right? And so if the goal is to get 100,000 customers, like for you, we do the math here, 100,000 divided by 1,500 means you need to get 66 customers. Now you could probably get away with, like you said, that 45, 50 if you just do more like upselling for projects and stuff and still hit that 100,000 mark. But I'd say if you shoot for probably 50 or 60 customers, you should be good. And then kind of work the way backwards. So right off the bat here, you said that you had how many door hangers ordered?
I've got 3,000 sitting here ready to go out.
So if we multiply that by 1%, that should get you roughly 30 customers.
Right.
So that's why I was just saying, and I know you're doing EDDM, but again, if it flops like ours did, you may only get like 5 customers from that, right? Like to really make sure that you hit your goals, I would at the very minimum double that, if not maybe triple it. And that's why, like when you told me those numbers, I think they're a little on the lower end to ensure that you hit the goals, but maybe 2.5 times, because And who knows? Maybe the EDDM does do well, and then all of a sudden you have 80 customers, and then you need to hire some help, and we'll have a different conversation on a coaching call about hiring people. But until then, I'd probably like double, if not triple, that output, and then that should be able to get you to those goals for this year.
Okay, I was definitely underestimating that, so thank you.
Yeah. So outside of that, Scott, like, is there anything else that you may need help with?
Yeah, well, I'm sure there's lots I need help with.
But you can maybe think of.
No. I mean, the questions I had written down, you've answered those, and you've given me a lot to. You gave me a great reminder on that. I mean, the way I landed on starting this business was working the numbers backwards. And somehow from the beginning of thinking that today, like I stopped doing that. And so that's a great reminder. Just whatever the goal is, work it backwards, deconstruct it.
Yeah.
And that's been valuable just to put that back in my head. And then the door hangers, I was severely underestimating that. So I'll get some more of those ordered.
Yeah, and like I don't think it would hurt to put out door sign, or not door signs, yard signs, EDDM. You could put that in the mix. I would just do a variety of that stuff, but I think your biggest lever is probably going to be the door hangers. And then just, again, I've got, I think, a couple other videos on like how to create a good offer. But Alex Hormozy talks a lot about this, is like, how do you create an offer so good that the customer feels like silly saying no to? And so, especially if they need the service, like if they need mowing services, it's like, hey, you know, second cut free, or I probably wouldn't do first cut free because of overgrown lawns. But yeah, just try to build an offer so good where it's like, hey, if you're not happy with the services, like we will literally, sometimes people do like double money back guarantee, like especially if you're the one going to be out there mowing every lawn, you know you're going to do a good solid job.
Yeah.
And so you could be like, look, if you're not happy with the service, we'll either A, refund you, B, come back and fix it. And if you're still not happy, like we'll pay a competitor for you to like mow your lawn. If you're still like, if we come back and we try to fix it and you're still not happy, we will pay I will pay another company the $40 for them to come out and mow your lawn. That's how confident we are with our product and on our services. You know?
Yeah.
And so again, it just removes the fear from them of being like, oh man, like what if they, you know, don't do a good job, or, you know, stop showing up, which is a big one. People aren't reliable and stuff, you know?
Yeah. And that's a great way of, I've been skeptical of like offering the deal, because I don't want to brand myself as like the cheap company, but that's a great way of just reframing that and just doubling down on the guarantee. Like, I promise you're not going to be disappointed. And that's huge. Thank you. That's huge. Sorry, I wanted to write that one down.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Yeah, man. Like, I think you're gonna crush it, especially if you 3x that, shoot for like maybe 9,000 flyers. But again, you're gonna get your steps in for sure. Like doing a lot of walking, a lot of door hangers. But the good news is if you start now, you know, you can just chip away at it. You know, a couple hundred a day, 200-300 a day, and just set a goal like each week too, you know, just to make sure that you get them all out. But there's only a certain amount of window of opportunity. And so you want to double and triple down on that as much as you physically can. Like even if you have to work 10, 12-hour days, especially in the spring rush, like I'm talking like right when the grass comes out of dormancy, and you're going to be so tired. You're going to be out mowing lawns for 6 hours, and you're come back and be like, man, I need a break. That's the time you lean into it and say, this is the time I got to go out and do 2-3 more hours of door hangers. You know, that's where the difference is, where most people will just go back and call it quits that day, or check the emails and stuff like that. Unless it's sales, then definitely check the emails. But
right.
But yeah,
no, that's solid advice.
Yeah. I think you're gonna do good, man. Like I think if you just increase that workload and you'll be solid.
Perfect. Well, then hopefully we're having a follow-up not too long from now, talking about the success that we had.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. And then if you need anything else, obviously I'm always really active in the comments on YouTube, but you know, feel free to shoot me an email or whatever. But I appreciate you coming on. Yes, ask really good questions. There's a lot of people that are literally in your boat that watch my channel that are like, this is the spring I'm getting started. And I think they needed to hear this. I think you needed to hear this. And I really appreciate you coming on and you know, being vulnerable and asking questions and stuff like that. So you're gonna crush it this week. And
I appreciate you taking the time to have this conversation with me and give me your advice and experience. So thank you.
Absolutely. Well, Scott, have a great day. If you don't have any other questions, and yeah, man, thank you for your service.
Hey, thank you, brother.
All right. We'll see ya.
All right. Thanks.